Imagine facing a sudden, terrifying eviction notice, or maybe a really bitter custody dispute, and then realizing you have absolutely zero funds for a lawyer. It's a harsh reality for so many Arizonans, but there is a hidden safety net out there. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to break down exactly how you can get free legal aid in Arizona. We'll cover everything from the strict income limits you need to know, all the way to the exact phone numbers you're going to want to call. Okay, let's take a quick look at our structured roadmap for today, so you know exactly how to navigate these life-changing resources. We're going to cover the civil justice gap, eligibility and income limits, the types of cases covered, key legal aid providers, some alternative legal resources, and finally, how to apply today. Let's dive in. Section 1. The civil justice gap. Let's see how this gap affects everyday Arizonans. So, what happens when you desperately need legal help but literally can't afford an attorney? Think about the massive stakes of a sudden legal crisis, like a complex debt collection or even a foreclosure. Without someone in your corner who actually knows the law, the whole system just feels like an impossible maze, right? Going it alone can completely devastate your finances and your family's stability. Well, that's exactly where civil legal aid steps in. Essentially, this is free or heavily discounted legal assistance provided by nonprofits specifically for non-criminal issues. It's an absolutely critical safety net, and it's built on one really simple idea. Justice should not just be a luxury for those who can afford to pay top dollar. And just to put the sheer scale of this into perspective, look at this staggering number, 1 million. According to the Legal Services Corporation, roughly 1 million people, which is about 15% of Arizona's entire population, are legally eligible for these funded services. So if you're sitting there thinking you're the only one needing help, trust me, you are far from alone. Moving on to Section 2, eligibility and income limits. Now, the biggest question is usually, do I actually qualify? So let's do the math using the 2026 Federal Poverty Guidelines. For full, federally funded aid through the Legal Services Corporation, your household income typically needs to sit at or below 125% of the poverty line. For a single person, that's $19,950 a year. Got a family of 4, it's $41,250. But hey, if you're earning a bit more than that, don't panic. There are what we call modest means programs that can unlock assistance for folks earning up to 200% of the poverty line. But income is really only half the equation here. Providers also have to look at your liquid and non-liquid assets. The good news, your primary residence and one vehicle are usually totally exempt. Basically, they aren't going to punish you for having a roof over your head and a way to get to work. However, things like extensive cash savings, investment portfolios, or a secondary property, those can absolutely disqualify you, even if your monthly income is incredibly low. And just to give you an idea of how shockingly strict this can get in specialized cases, take a look at this. $2,000. If you're a single applicant seeking Arizona long-term care system eligibility, your total countable assets are capped at a maximum of just $2,000. It is a rigid, unforgiving guideline, which really makes having a legal advocate absolutely essential. Let's jump into Section 3, Types of Cases Covered. Let's see how this translates into the practical legal issues these agencies actually take on. Legal aid basically steps in during fundamental life crises. We're talking about the big 4: housing, family, income, and safety. They help defend against unfair evictions. They help domestic violence survivors secure protective orders. They fight aggressive debt collectors, and they even help appeal wrongful denials for vital public benefits. Things like SNAP or HACCS. But there is a really hard boundary on what these organizations can actually do. This perfectly illustrates it. Legal aid strictly handles civil matters, never criminal defense. So, if you are accused of a crime against the state, that falls under criminal law. In that scenario, you wouldn't call legal aid. You'd actually need a public defender appointed by the court. All right, Section 4, Key Legal Aid Providers. Because Arizona is split up geographically for these services, let's map out exactly who you need to call based on where you live. The state's network is anchored by 3 massive regional providers. If you're in Phoenix, or really anywhere in Maricopa, Yavapai, Yuma, Mojave, or La Paz counties, your go-to is Community Legal Services, or CLS. Down south in Pima, Cochise, Pinal, and the southeastern counties, you're looking for Southern Arizona Legal Aid. And then up in northern Arizona, specifically across the Navajo and Hopi nations, DNA People's Legal Services provides dedicated support. But it doesn't stop with the big 3.
There are also these amazing specialty organizations that focus on specific vulnerable populations. For instance, Disability Rights Arizona handles special education and discrimination cases statewide. Step Up to Justice handles civil matters down in Pima County. The Florence Project works tirelessly with detained immigrants. And the Arizona Senior Citizen Law Project serves residents who are 60 and older, specifically in Maricopa County.
Also, if you're trying to move past a prior conviction, there are specialized resources and directories for expungement and record clearing. For example, organizations like the Center for HIV Law and Policy maintain these kinds of resources, which can be an absolute game changer if you're trying to legally smash barriers to getting new employment or stable housing. Section 5, Alternative Legal Resources. Okay, let's dive into a really common scenario. What if you make slightly too much money to get that full free aid, but you still definitely can't afford a $300 an hour lawyer? Well, Arizona has pioneered a brilliant solution called the Legal Paraprofessional, or LP. Think of an LP kind of like a nurse practitioner, but for the medical field. Scratch that, for the legal field. They are licensed professionals authorized to perform specific legal services, like in family and housing law, without a traditional attorney. It can literally save you an absolute fortune. And those alternatives don't stop there. The Modest Means Project offers a 1-hour attorney consultation for a flat fee of just $75, which is an unbelievable steal. You can also use the AZ Court Help live chat to get procedural questions answered by real law librarians. There's AZ Free Legal Answers, which is a virtual clinic for civil law advice, and even authorized community justice workers who can help you with legal documents for free right in your own neighborhood. Which brings us to our final section, Section 6, How to Apply Today. So the absolutely crucial point now is turning all this information into action. Here is exactly what you need to do. Step 1, get organized. Gather your ID, your proof of income, and any court notices you've received. Step 2, hit the web. Visit ASZlawhelp.org and use their online intake system to get routed to the right agency. But here is the catch. You almost always have to follow up by calling 866-637-5341 to complete the process. Speaking directly with the intake staff is what actually finalizes your application. Now for a quick reality check. These organizations do genuinely heroic work, but because of a high demand, you might face some waiting times. You have to be relentless, be persistent, log your calls, keep meticulous records of all your documents, and above all, stay sharply aware of your court deadlines while you're waiting. Don't let things slip through the cracks. Because, as this quote beautifully sums it up, equal access to justice promotes family stability, strengthens neighborhoods, and improves the quality of life for all. Fighting for that access is worth every single ounce of effort. If you or someone you know is drowning in a civil legal crisis, please share this explainer with them. It just might be the exact lifeline they've been desperately looking for. Finally, a quick disclaimer. This explainer is strictly for informational purposes and does not constitute official legal advice. Please always consult with a legal professional for specific guidance tailored to your unique case. The justice system can feel incredibly complex, but as we've seen today, the doors are definitely not locked just because you don't have deep pockets. So with all of these hidden resources now right at your fingertips, what step will you take today to empower yourself and protect your community?